Why do you always feel jammed on your backhand? Because you are standing close to the table but waiting to hit the ball at its peak. Alright, today we're focusing on the backhand rip. The reason you make errors against heavy backspin is an oversized swing, which leads to unfocused friction on the ball. Why don't long pimples struggle with spin? Because the motion is compact. Conversely, you can use a compact motion like that to return the ball effectively. See? As long as the motion is compact, you can get it on the table. In fact, against any heavy sidespin backspin, a simple flick of the wrist is enough to lift the ball. However, whether that shot has any quality is another matter entirely. Remember, the more compact your stroke, the greater your chances of neutralizing heavy spin. You fail to lift the ball when you take a big backswing for it, similar to how you'd fail against long pimples. You can't use a big looping motion against long pips because the ball sinks quickly. The principle is the same here. Once you master the rip from any position, you've solved your service return problems. Your service return motion should not be large. A big swing gets you jammed, prevents proper friction, makes you late, and causes you to misread the serve. Keep your stroke small. A push gets on the table because the action is compact. If your shot gets smashed by your opponent, it's because you lifted the ball with no spin. But when your shot has heavy topspin, their counterattack will likely go long. Quality friction ensures you can land the shot under pressure and makes it difficult for your opponent to block. Therefore, this technique is low risk, low investment, and high reward. Relying on pure power is high risk with uncertain returns. The backhand rip is the best tool for amateurs to handle long serves to the backhand, as it works against topspin, no spin, and backspin. Today, we'll break down the common problems I see with the amateur backhand rip and how to fix them. First key point, for the rip, you must cock your wrist back. Most players don't do this enough. If you don't feel that brushing sensation, it's very likely due to an improper backswing where the wrist isn't cocked. If your wrist is straight on the backswing, you can't generate enough friction. You must tuck the racket inward, cocking the wrist sharply until the racket head points back at your body. Only with a fully cocked wrist on the backswing can you effectively rip through the ball and generate maximum power. Second key point, to build a solid backhand topspin game, your shoulder and elbow must form a stable frame. Your upper arm and forearm should create a triangular structure. If your elbow drops, the structure is broken, and the stroke will fail. A dropped elbow posture is suitable for a backhand drive, not a rip. If you want to learn the reverse penhold backhand, pay attention. This forearm position is for the most basic forward pushing stroke. This movement is for a fundamental backhand block or drive. However, for a rip, you must raise the elbow to form that triangle with your upper arm and forearm. You must keep it raised because the rip pivots around the elbow, allowing the forearm to swing back and then accelerate forward. If you don't do this, your backhand will lack speed. Dropping the elbow results in a flat hit, not a brushing motion for topspin. A dropped elbow creates a vertical racket face, which leads to flat contact. A raised elbow allows you to close the racket angle. With the correct closed racket angle, I can generate much more power. So, in the transition from a drive to a rip, you must change your elbow position from pointing down to pointing sideways. Within this framework, you'll start to feel the backhand rip. The third key point is that your racket head has to accelerate. This acceleration comes from your fingers, not your wrist. You must use your fingers to snap the racket head through the ball. How do you engage the fingers? On your backswing, let the racket head drop. This prepares your middle finger and thumb to apply pressure. If your racket head is already up at the start, your fingers have no room to accelerate and apply force. The correct sequence: start with the racket head dropped, then at contact. Push up with the middle finger and rotate with the thumb to snap the racket forward. It's all about that rotation. The common mistake is starting with the racket head up, which results in a flat, powerless shot that relies only on arm strength. By rotating the racket head correctly, I can win points with either spin or speed. To execute a powerful rip, a shakehand player primarily uses the thumb and middle finger for pressure. For penhold, the thumb can press against the side of the handle to provide forward drive. The thumb can press on the handle to generate forward power. Fifth point, if I want to accelerate the rip, where does the power come from? It comes from the forearm. The upper arm's main role is to provide a stable support structure. How do you use your forearm to get that crisp, through the blade sound? Whether you are driving or ripping, achieving that powerful sound comes from explosive forearm acceleration. So why does the forearm generate so much power? Because on the backswing, my forearm is completely relaxed. For consistent power on every shot, you must be loose on the backswing, tight on contact. Most amateurs are tense during the backswing. They think propping up the elbows means tensing up, and that's where the problems begin. If you can change direction from cross-court to down the line or accelerate during a backhand rally, your opponent will be afraid to challenge you. If you lack this ability, they will just rally with you endlessly. Remember, the elbow and upper arm are the support. As your forearm comes back, it should be so relaxed it feels like someone else is holding the racket for you. Then, at the moment of impact, you grip tight. Relax on the backswing, then explode forward. The common mistake is staying tense throughout the backswing, which kills your power. This applies to looping backspin as well. If the ball is very heavy, my grip becomes extremely loose, even in the web of my thumb. Then I whip through the ball. If my grip is too tight, I can't brush the ball properly. The heavier the spin, the looser my grip needs to be on the backswing. This allows me to generate maximum friction to counteract their spin. A death grip reduces friction, a loose grip maximizes it. My backswing grip can get this loose. This doesn't apply to the forehand, however, where a loose grip can lead to an unstable shot. If the ball has little spin, a firmer grip is fine. Keep the grip this loose to handle heavy spin. To maintain a strong backhand attack, your backswing must be relaxed and your contact must be explosive and tight. It's a rhythm of tension and release. This is how you build a continuous attack. The key to continuous power and rallying is ensuring your forearm muscles are relaxed during the recovery phase of your shot. On the backhand side, rhythm and timing are everything. For example, right now I'm ripping the ball on the rise. So, if you're playing close to the table, you only have two timing options: contacting the ball on the rise, or at the peak of the bounce. So what happens if I hit at the peak of the bounce from a close to the table position? Let me demonstrate. You'll get jammed after 2 or 3 shots. This is because when you hit at the peak, your opponent can use your pace against you. Their block will come back faster, rushing you for the next shot. Therefore, when you are close to the table, your only option is to take the ball on the rise. Why do you miss your rips in a match? Because you are standing close to the table but waiting to hit the ball at its peak. Most of you have probably experienced this feeling of being jammed on the backhand side. So, can you rip the ball at the peak of the bounce? Yes, but you need to take a small step back from the table. From a slightly further position, I can comfortably hit the ball at its peak. Your position on the court dictates your optimal contact point. Your standard rally position is for taking the ball early, on the rise, using the opponent's pace. If you stand close, you must rip the ball early. If you create about an arm's length of distance from the table, then you have options. You can choose to rip at the peak, or you can step in and take it on the rise. How do you handle an opponent who constantly applies pressure with fast, powerful, repetitive shots? A player who relies on a fixed, aggressive rhythm hates a change of pace. For example, push one ball deep, then drop the next one short. Mix heavy and light shots, left and right. This will disrupt them. Because their rhythm is fixed, they are most vulnerable to changes in pace and placement. Against this type of player, mix in a rip, then a punch. Constantly vary the rhythm. Go fast, then slow. Or rip 2, then block 1. Block 2, then rip 1. You must constantly introduce variation. Now for the second type of opponent, they don't hit hard, but they are incredibly consistent. The best tactic against this player is to play backspin, because their topspin game is too solid. Another option is to quick block or punch the ball. Stop trying to outrip them. You must use a surprise shot. Use a quick, unexpected shot to throw off their timing. This surprise shot doesn't require a lot of power. It's a short, explosive motion, a slow backswing and a fast, sudden punch. A sudden burst of speed is all you need. The same applies to the forehand. You have to be unpredictable. Against a very consistent player, you must use unpredictability. Against a power looper, you must absorb their pace and give them consistent, steady balls. Amateurs can't maintain high-power shots indefinitely. You can use a punch or a quick tap as a surprise shot to throw off their rhythm. If you insist on looping every ball on your forehand, you become very predictable and easy to defend against. When I play against this consistent style, I often use a quick punch on my forehand side, making sure my stroke is compact to avoid errors. Thirdly, when a penholder pushes the ball with inverted rubber, does it come back really heavy? How do you deal with this heavy, sinking ball that they jam you with? When they jam you, the more you try to passively block, the more confident they become. Passive blocking feeds their game, and trying to overpower them will lead to more errors. So, what's the solution? You need to hook the ball with spin. Use only 2/3 of your normal rip motion. Use your wrist to catch the ball and apply spin. They will misread it and hit it into the net. Keep the motion small and wrist-oriented. Never use a full follow-through. The harder and deeper you hit the ball, the heavier and deader their return will be, because they are using your power. So, you must wrap around the ball with a very compact motion, just nudging it forward with spin. They will be the one to make the mistake. This is how I play against all pimple players, and it's very effective. The bigger your swing, the more likely you are to miss. You'll get jammed within 2 shots. Against short, long, or medium pips, or a C-pen player jamming you, just use a small, forward brushing motion. The more quality you put into your shot, the heavier their return will be, making your next shot much harder. This applies to all pimple rubbers. The harder you hit, the more their block will sink, and you're almost guaranteed to hit the next ball into the net. So, my strategy is to never use a big motion. This ensures their return ball is never heavy. I'm not afraid of their attack, because I know they will get anxious and make a mistake first. You will make an error before I do, because as long as I keep my motion compact, I won't miss. Then, I wait for my opportunity. While you're aggressively hitting, I'm controlling the rally. Once I get the right ball, I will attack with power, and you won't be able to react in time.